Welcome back to another episode of the Mining and Markets podcast hosted by Synergy Capital. Joining me today is the CEO of Masivo Silver, Mr. David Coburn. David, how are you today?
Elaine, doing great today. Lots of good stuff happening and happy to be a guest on your podcast.
Well, you guys seem very busy right now. There's a lot of stuff going on. You guys are drilling, but why don't we first start off with a brief introduction to Masivo for those who aren't familiar with the story?
Okay, well, listen, real quickly, this project was brought to me by a group of my investors out of Toronto, and it was a mine that was in previous production pre-World War II with some incredible grades. Like they were producing 9.6 grams gold, 6.8% copper, 225 gram silver. And the mine was in production pre-World War II. What happened in pre-World War II, the war started and built up. The mine shut down, as did most mines in US and Canada. Everybody went to war. And what happened is this project was presented to me. It looked fabulous. I socialized it with a couple of very strong geologists, as well as I sat down with Eric Sprott in Toronto and went through it with him. And to my amazement, Eric Sprott loves pre-World War II production stories, just because of exactly what I just said. He said the production stopped typically because of the war, not because they ran out of ore. So getting the thumbs up from Eric Sprott, getting the thumbs up from four other real strong geos that had ran New York Stock Exchange mining companies, we felt very confident that this was our play. We were getting ready to drill in Mexico, and this was then presented to us. And through all of my technical people and people much smarter than me, we decided to move forward on the Boston mine in Nevada, in the Elko mining sector in Nevada. That's pretty much how we secured the project. And the owners of the project wanted the majority of their payment in shares. Very, very little cash went out on this, and because they're very bullish on what was there and what they had seen in the past. So it had been in this family for a long, long time. We're very lucky that one of my shareholders brought it to me.
Wow, that's quite an interesting story.
Yeah, wild story. I did all the due diligence on it. Just so you know, I actually got all the paperwork. I wanted to get the paperwork from the assay lab, which was actually in Salt Lake City, and I have all that data. And we went through it, really dug into it. So we're drilling there now as we speak.
Sounds like a great story. And to have a project validated by a guy like Eric Sprott is.
Eric invested $500,000 in the project, so he's got $500,000 in, and we're happy to have him as a shareholder.
Wow. Good job. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about the current drill program at the company's Boston Mine project. What was the goal of this program? How many meters are being drilled? And when do you expect this program to be completed?
Well, the beauty of this program and the beauty of the asset and the mineral concession is it seems that when they were mining there, their production, everything is very, very close to surface. So all we're really doing is we're drilling some short holes. We're drilling 8 holes, probably an average 125 meters per hole. That's the game plan on the phase 1 drill program. And we have finished hole number 1, which had some very, very good results. And we just finished hole number 2. And if you see the results of hole 2, we extended the drilling program 3 times just because of the visible mineralization on the core. And this comes from our technical people, came from our QP geo, our independent geo, Brian Brewer, who knows the project very well. And so what happens on that is when the driller hits the target depth, he typically is supposed to stop and move on, to the next hole per the drill program. But we kept hitting mineralization in these target depths 3 times. So after the second time, we continue to drill. After the third time, we continue to drill. So we're real excited about hole number 2, and we just completed it last week. We're getting set up right now to drill hole number 3. So we'll come out with a news release next week that hole number 3 has started and give some of the detail on that as well.
Okay, and there's no historical resource on this property, is that correct?
No historical resource on it. There was a couple of holes drilled way back then, many years ago, with obsolete technology, and just the drilling was not where it should have been, and there's no resource whatsoever. Possibly be able to calculate a resource after the phase 1 drill program here. Possibly be able to define a resource after the phase two. So we're kind of looking at the phase two program right now, and we're getting ready to put a program together and define targets just because we're quite confident on these 8 holes we're going to drill on phase number one.
Great. Okay. The company recently closed an upsized financing of $1 million. Will these
Yep.
funds primarily support the work at Boston Mine Project, or are there plans to initiate work programs on your other projects or acquire new projects? What's the plan there?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And the funds on this private placement raise will 100% be spent on the Boston mine. Our goal is to drill a phase one and a phase two, phase three, and move down the line with the Boston mine. These funds are specified 100% for the Boston mine.
Great. And can you talk a little bit about the team behind Masivo? I know you mentioned Eric Sprott was a shareholder. Maybe any notable shareholders, notable team members?
Yeah, we've got Eric Sprott as a shareholder. We have Ernesto Echevarria in Mexico, Mexican billionaire out of Sinaloa. And we've got a real strong Toronto group also invested, real strong Calgary group invested. These are long-term guys that try to pick projects and stick with them and drill them out. So they've had some good success in the past, this group. As far as our technical team, we've got a real strong technical team. We've got Mark Bailey, who is a strong advisor of mine. And Mark is very successful in Nevada and Mexico. His company was Mine Finders. He sold it to Pan American Silver for $1.5 billion and $1.5 billion. And Mark really, really likes the Nevada project. Our QP is Brian Brewer. Brian actually worked for Mark in Nevada and Mexico. Real strong geologist, has been to the project probably 20 times. He staked the project. He knows it very well. And real strong QP geo that doesn't get excited about much, but he is excited about the project. We, of course, have Tom Quigley, who Tom is a geo, and Tom was the founder of the project, and the project had been in his family for a long time. Between Tom and his son, Eric, they've really put a strong drill program together, this phase one drill program, and we're off and on with them right now, just getting ready to design a stage two program of some infill drilling within the Boston mine.
Great. I want to switch focus and talk a little bit about the silver and gold mining sector, which appears to be undervalued compared to the metal right now. I mean, the metals. Would you agree with that assessment? And can you give us your take on the opportunity being presented by silver and gold miners?
Yeah, I think that's a real fair assessment. And if you talk to the guys that have been in the business a long time, that have made a lot of money in the business, a guy like Eric Sprott, some others out there that I stay in touch with that have been in the business a long time, to see the cycles. Everybody's quite confident that gold, silver, precious metals will continue to rise the way it is. There's obviously less inventory out there of it every year because it's being used, and you've got to dig into the ground to find it. So I supply and demand, typical supply and demand. And I think that we've finally hit a point in time in the precious metal cycle where we're going to continue to see real strong upside in precious metal prices, and we're seeing that right now, and have really for the last couple of years. It's really been trending up and continues to. So don't know what the U.S. election will play in all of this, but it always does, and it seems that precious metals like to take off a little bit after the U.S. election. So we'll see what happens.
Okay. There was an interesting article I read on In Gold We Trust. They shared a chart showing that fiat currencies tend to lose value over time when compared to gold. Do you believe we're moving towards a situation where fiat currencies, if they keep declining in value, it'll boost gold's appeal to investors?
100%. You're seeing that even with the gold, silver that some of the major countries out there are picking up and moving into it. It's become from China to Russia to India, big countries, USA, big buying power. Absolutely, that's a real strong point on your part.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and just before we wrap up, do you have any other points you'd like to cover about Masivo, the current drilling program, or anything else that we've discussed today?
No, I mean, I would say when we finished hole number one a year ago, we were trading up in the 40-cent range with just one hole. We now finished our second hole, onto our third hole. We expect mineralization in every hole. I know that's a big thing for me to say, but we're quite confident that we'll have mineralization in every hole, and that's why we're in the process of designing a stage 2 drill program. But my money and family, friends' money is on Masivo right now. I think we'll see a real strong uptick in our stock once the assays start coming out. The assays for the second hole will be sent in by Friday, and we expect something back in 4 to 6 weeks. We've got a strong relationship with the assay lab in Twin Falls, which is about 30 kilometers, 30 miles from us, 40 miles in that range. So I think we have a winner here. Every strong geo, negative geos that have looked at it, they're like, you have a real good opportunity here.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing results. I'm a happy shareholder, and I'm excited
Yeah.
to see this thing move forward.
Yeah, happy to have you. I think you're going to be real happy. There's real good things coming. So I talk to our driller 2 or 3 times a day, and our driller thinks he's going to be on site for life. So that's a good thing when your driller has that type of positive attitude on what he's drilling.
That's awesome. Thanks for your time today, David. I appreciate it.
Okay, Elaine. Thank you very much, sir. Talk later.
Okay.
Bye-bye.